evening, good morning, good afternoon, whenever it is that you are listening to our new episode ready for Round 7 Storm vs Raiders. This is our TLT and Purple Blueprint game plan podcast. Welcome back, Aaron. We missed you on Sunday. We were very well done to Jimmy as a fill-in. He was spectacular and fantastic. If you want to follow Jimmy, just a reminder to get onto the SC Spectrum. They are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok even now. Jimmy is one of the lead cast there. He works with me. But, mate, we're keen to get you back. Welcome back. How was your holiday and how are you going?
Yeah, holiday was really good. Went away and, as we said, no reception, but I did manage to get in the car and turn it on at 9:45 on Saturday night just to try and get some reception and see what the result was. And I heard the result and I stormed off and I went to bed, to be honest. I was so pissed off to hear again that we've gone down, not in a battle like we haven't. I heard 38, I think it was 14, and I heard that and I just was like, no way, we're still fucking just giving up points and we're not, I could tell straight away that Bellamy was going to be pissed off and that basically James's podcast was going to be a tough carry. And I listened to his podcast. I thought, having him on there to do that one for me was a good thing because it's, I try and sit here and be roses sometimes and that's just me. I don't like to go too hard on the boys and I really try and find the positives in it, whereas James was a bit more prepared to unleash there. And look, that's probably fair enough on such a shit performance.
Yeah, look, the Wars belt us. We just couldn't stand with them. We couldn't keep up with them. That podcast was tough to do, but mate, when you have a performance like that, I will be honest, it's probably easier to do a podcast like that than it is to do a one where we are on the other end and we belt them and we're trying to come up with some content and stuff to talk about. But look, and full credit to the Waz and their community. They've actually got into YouTube and been watching the YouTube post a lot. They've been commenting, which has been absolutely fantastic, and and the feedback was really good from them. And yeah, mate, Jimmy, he was fantastic. Very, very good fill-in. And look, he will jump on in other bits and pieces as a bit of a fill-in and stuff like that. So moving forward, he's very good, and I know that the community are pretty keen on that. But yeah, mate, it's good to have you back. Are you refreshed? Are you refreshed for a big podcast? Because this one's huge, man.
Yeah, definitely refreshed. I mean, I definitely had a good week off. I've had a few problems or issues since I've been back. I bloody was at the emergency department last night with the blood noses, and they burnt my nostrils with cauterized it, and I've had a fun 24 hours. And even just sitting here trying to get onto this podcast, I'm like, I can't start yet. My nose is fucking bleeding. So I'm here. I'm refreshed, but I've got some issues.
It's a good sob story. I might do a reel. I'll just cut that little reel of Aaron in hospital and the blood and blood noses and get it out there and say, guys, come and listen to us. Aaron's battling here through, but he's there ready for the storm, boys.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% right. I just have blood noses that are causing me some problems at the minute.
Little bit of a sponsor shout out. We'll move into. I just want to give a bit of a 35-day update. We've got some wicked numbers that I really just want to push out, and I really want to let people know so that you're not missing out. So that if you are a business or a company out there that is looking for someone to sponsor or someone you just appreciate some really hard work, we're certainly on that at the moment, and that. One of those things that I want to talk about is currently some of our numbers. So at the moment, within YouTube, we're sitting at 1,362 views all up since the 10th of March. So we've been going now for 35 days. Yet we've been able to get these types of views. We're currently got a podcast that's we did on Sunday that's now sitting at just over 420 views. We are absolutely flying in YouTube. It's sitting at 176.9 watch hours. We've got 59 subscribers. That's just YouTube alone. Let's have a look. Spotify, 573 plays, 155 listening hours. Apple Podcasts, 322 plays, 30 listening hours. This is just prime opportunity to, if you're a business, to get out there and just help us out. And look into a bit of a sponsorship and grow with us. Our numbers are through the roof already. I can tell you now that in the past, podcasting and content creation stuff that I've done, when I first started, we were nowhere near these types of numbers. So it's really out there. It's working for you. Please, we want to work. We want to talk. Aaron and I are willing to at least have a chat and see. And if it's not this year, it might be next year or whatever. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there because there's some wicked numbers, man. And we're sitting at just over 840 followers on Facebook. So our community has grown enormously, and it's amazing. And we're so privileged and so proud to. We're not in a rightful position here. We're in a privileged position that we get to talk about the Storm. And if you're a sponsor or anyone out there, as a community, that would be even better. If there's someone who's a listener or whatever, and you've got a business and you want us to help, our reach is big. That's what we're after. That's what we're looking for. My next thing is a shout out to Freedom Finance. And look, the only place where the takes are hot, the loyalty is questionable, and somehow the tips are still worse than your mate's multi from last weekend. And that's a bit of a shout out to James there, and that took me all day to put together. Speaking of some questionable decisions, this episode is proudly brought to you by Freedom Finance Group, because unlike your club's last tackle option, which is exactly what ours was and what we've been questioning, these guys actually know how to manage pressure and your finances. Get around Freedom Finance Group and Con. Give him a call. All the details are going to be in the bio. And I know Con loves these little spiels. I talk to him every couple of days, and he loves the little shout outs and the funniness to it. So I hope the community are getting in contact with him. Give Purple Rain a bit of a shout out and a mention when you call him and to unlock your special offer. Aaron, TLT. Let's get into what we're doing. So we play. This is the important one. It's Canberra Raiders versus the Storm. It's in Canberra, 6 p.m. on Friday. This is round 7. A little stat before I get into the team list is if we are to lose, this would be our first 5-game losing streak since 2012. We have a lot to prove as we move into this game. Let's go to the Canberra Raiders side. So at the 1, Kaya Weeks, surrounded in the wings with Sebastian Chris and Jed Stewart with the centres, Simi Sasagi and Matthew Timoko. Matthew Timoko comes in for his first game for the year. In the halves, Ethan Strange and Ethan Sanders. They're big props, Josh Papali'i and Joseph Tarpany. With the hooker Tom Starling inside them. Hudson Young and Noah Martin on the edges, and Corey Horsburgh in the lock position. On the bench, it's Jaden Brayley, Zach Hosking, Artem Mariota, Morgan Smithies, Dane Laurie, and Joe Roddy. Now to the Storm. There's only really one change. Sewer at 1, Warbrick and our one change, Mania Waterie. I'm just going to say Mania from now on. I know how to say his last name, but I bloody get it wrong every single time, and I embarrass myself. Mania as a winger, and then on the inside of him is Jack Howarth and Meany. Mania comes in for Moses Leo, who's been dropped to the reserves. Cam Munster and Hughes in the halves. Stefano and King at forward prop. Harry Grant at hooker. We've got Joe Chan and Cooper Clark on the edge back rows with Trent Liero in the 13. On the bench, Tyron Wishart, Alec McDonald, Jack Hetherington, Davey Mawali, Sean Blore returns, and Hugo Peel in the 19 jersey. Aaron, we have... Look, I'll be honest, and I'll ask this question and then I'll get your initial thoughts. One of the questions and one of the things that our community has said, and if all the chats, and we're going to go through it later on, is questioning what is Bellamy doing. He's threatened the last 2 weeks of changes, and we have one. Is this a stance of faith and you get one more chance, or what's your initial thoughts there, Aaron?
Look, I think everyone was expecting some changes, and look, I do think we will still get one. I'm pretty sure Blaw's coming back into the side. It's just a question of which side he's going to go to. So for me, it's a no-brainer. You have to move Clark back into the middle because that's where mate, we're struggling through the middle. I mean, I know everyone's pointing their fingers at the edges, but let's be honest, the halves aren't getting any space to work. Harry's not playing downfield, and that all stems from the forwards not laying a platform. So I think, Bellamy's gone off his rocker in the change rooms last week. We seen him unfairly or fairly rip Joe Chan to shreds, and I know he gave away a couple of penalties there, and I know Joe Chan, deserved a spray, but he was just the person that was in front of Bellamy and copped the wrath that game. Now, everyone in that room felt that wrath. Just because he was pointing at Joe Chan doesn't mean to say everyone wasn't sitting there knowing that this is directed at everyone. So, a bit of a show of faith. I think, I don't know. The forwards can't be far off getting some rotations. We didn't use Hetherington last week. We used Mawali for, I think, 21 minutes. Last week he had 2 runs. So, even when we're going to the bench, we're not getting any impact there. I don't know. It's frustrating, but I also don't know what the answer is at the moment.
When you are sitting there lost for words, Aaron, I sit there and start to question some decisions that are being made. The decision that I am now at is I'm disappointed, and I want to have my rosy glasses on, and I know that people have sent me messages going, you've changed because you've got the rosy glasses, you're talking about the Storm. I love them, I really do, and I'm not going to question the GOAT of a coach at all. But what I am going to question is the last 2 weeks' worth of performances have been poor at best, and the threats have been out there around some changes are going to be done, and the only changes that are happening is the young boys going in and out of the team. So if you're gonna say these things and do these threats, then some things need to change. You can't.
What happened at the end? I haven't watched the last game. You told me it's not worth it. Don't come home and disappoint yourself. So I didn't put myself through it. But what happened at the end? Why did Moses Leo go off? When at the end of the game he must have went off for something? Did he get injured or did he head knock or?
No, I don't think it was an injury, and I didn't really notice it. But he's been dropped. He's not injured here. He's in the reserves. From as far as I've been advised and everything that I've read, he's in the reserves and being dropped.
Okay.
So this is not an injury play, but I actually look. I don't think Moses Leo was great last week, but he definitely wasn't far. He definitely wasn't our worst, and he worked his backside off, and he had some really hard carries. And Jimmy actually said the same thing, right? So, and it's really hard to knock him for a guy who really had those hard carries and did what he had to do. He wasn't the problem, and he's not the problem. And yes, our left edge, and we're going to talk about this, has been diabolical. And we've put a reel out there, and it's been watched a lot, and there's people getting in the comments and sending us messages and things. And it's been diabolical, but it's very hard to have a diabolical edge, an edge that's not diabolical when our forwards are producing the things that they've been producing. There's been 2 weeks in a row where they've just been absolutely monstered. They're not getting the number of carries. They're not getting the meters. There's 2 weeks in a row where our forwards haven't even got 100 meters. Not one. So there's problems. And I legitimately think, and a lot of the comments, and we're going to get into this in literally a minute or two, but a lot of the comments are around some things need to change. Some forwards need to go. Now, I mentioned that I don't think Stefano should be dropped, and I don't want King to be dropped, but I'd like one of them to come off the bench. I'd like Liero to push into the edge. I'd like Wishart to be put to the 13 as a ball playing lock. I'd like our edges to be shored up, and having Blore back this week might help that. There's some serious changes that can happen that aren't going to majorly amend our game plan, but is going to help players freshen up, is going to help players to come in at different periods of time just to try and build some confidence. And if that doesn't work, then it's time to send them to the resis and bring some of these young guys in. Pahulu got 171 metres on the weekend. I think he got 2 tries as well. Like, there's form and there's things happening. And when you have lackluster, poor performances like what's just happened in the last 2 weeks and then on the weekend, granted, full credit, the Waz just blew us off the park. Things need to be changed. And I don't like listening to 37 comments or reading 37 comments that all sort of imply or have some thoughts around why is someone getting these second chances? Why is these no changes? Why is it our young guys getting moved? Aaron, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I heard a stat. I heard it on, I think a bloke in the bar I heard it on. He said in the first 5 minutes of that Warriors game, we missed 11 tackles.
11 tackles,
so
correct.
11 tackles in the first 5 minutes and only 32 for the whole game. So, like, say you're going 75 minutes only missing 21 tackles, the numbers aren't that bad. But if you give the Warriors a start where you put some fuel in their tanks and you say, you're allowed to run the ball and we're going to miss 11 tackles in the first 5 minutes, that has gassed everyone. And it's just... it's concerning that we're not showing up to play when the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks have been at the standard they have. So, yeah, and you boys talked about it in the review. Competition for spots is what drives the people above them to be better. And if your position's guaranteed, whether you play good or not, who gives a fuck if you don't play good, because you're going to be there next week anyway. So I really enjoyed that chat you guys had. And look, I tend to agree. Some changes would definitely put a rocket up some asses. So definitely I thought there'd be more changes, but big challenge against a big pack this weekend. You've got Tarpanay and Papali and even a strong bench. So they've got a chance, and it's got to be from the get-go. We can't let them run downhill. We can't let them monster us like the last 3 weeks, playing in our backfield, shit fifth tackle options and getting pinned on our line, because it's really, our heads drop. Our attack just goes to looking for points. We throw the ball too wide. We don't punch in behind the ruck. Our forwards don't get the ball, and suddenly it's just a defensive game where we're wasting energy and we're not able to score. So fingers crossed we are on from the get-go.
Well, and that leads into a few things that we'll talk about a little bit more, but if our forwards are not doing anything, Harry Grant looks like a mediocre hooker. Whereas
I took some good stats.
He is absolutely renowned for being the best hooker in the competition, bar none. But if he gets nowhere with because of meters, if he's getting no carries and getting no meters, it's not because of him. It's because of what's happening in front of him, and he can't. So
I'll just read these three. Last 3 weeks combined, I took Harry's stats and I added them up. Now, in 3 weeks, round 4 runs for 13 metres. Round 5, there's Penrith, 2 runs for 10 metres. Round 6, Warriors, 8 runs for 33 metres. So in 3 metres alone, he's had 14 runs for 56 metres. Now, I don't know about you, but I want to see that in one game. I want to see Harry having maybe not 14 runs, but like 8, 9, 10 runs a game and getting 56, 60, 70 metres a game. So you nailed it. It's not up to Harry to get the quick play of the ball. It's up to our forwards to start winning contact, putting their bumpers up and running through the line, not just running into the line and getting sat on their ass and then wrestled sideways and then losing the ruck. And it's just not us. We've never been like that. We've always busted into contact, found our feet, and then try and play the ball quickly for Harry to get downfield. We aren't doing that at the moment, and it's evident that teams are monstering us in the middle.
I agree. All right, let's get to some of our community questions on our TLT post. By the way, how bloody cool was that? All the headshots on the TLT. That's a really good post. So I'd love if people could get in the comments and just let us know if there's anything you'd like to see or improvements or whatever, or different or things to take away in terms of content. We're always learning. We're still Young, 35 days, as I said. Grant Bordeaux, he says, do we think there is changes to the starting 17 before kickoff? I'm happy for the team to stay as it is, but if Belzer does wield the starting axe, as he has said, what do we think? He's saying he would like to see Blore in, Chan to the bench, Alec in, Trent to the bench. Thoughts?
Look, it's one of those ones. It's like, do you pick the guys on reputation that should be doing the job? And like Harry said it today, we've got the answers. Like in his press conference, his words were, "We've got the answers. We just need to do it." So it's really hard. Do you rest the bloke that can do it but isn't doing it just to fire him up, or do you let him try and get it done and potentially drop another game for it and you're worse off? So I don't know. It's so hard.
I'll jump in. I want Blore in. I don't want Chan to the bench. Chan's been really good the first 5 games. He had a stinker on the weekend, and that's fine. And they're all going to have that. He's young.
And Blore's going to go over on Munster's side. Blore's going to go over him.
Yeah, well,
he's going to go Munster's side. It's going to happen.
Yeah. So I'm going to... my suggestion is... look, to be fair, I think Blore stays where... Blore goes back to his... It's 11. He's usually 11. Chan can go to the 12. I'd push Clark in to start at the 13. Or Wishart. I'm happy with that. And keep Alec McDonald on the bench based off what he's just said there, just so that we get that early youth Clark steamroll burst that he had. Like, he had a wicked try on the weekend that we took a recording and put on, where he just carried near Corey. I think he even carried Fisher Harris in that and got that try. 15 minutes even of just Cooper Clark in the 13, just laying guys out, establishing a defensive line that shrinks and quick play of the balls, which he likes to do. I'm good with that. Liero then comes on and off we go. Like that, I don't mind that. I think that's a really nice play, and it just changes some things up so we're not stagnant and predictable. Which is a few comments have actually come through, the likes of Tracy and that have said we're looking predictable. Yeah. Next comment. Personally, I want to see Wishart start for us and try use his speed and quick play of the ball to try and break the line and make us some extra meters. What I've been disappointed on here, and this is going to go with Hetherington, Mawali, Minaya, and Wishart all as one cluster. Their minutes that they've been getting are not meaningful. Their minutes that they're getting are coming in to try and save us instead of trying to push things. Like Wishart came on last week with 30 minutes to go. Should have come on in the first half, in my opinion. Hetherington hasn't even been playing. Moali's getting 20 minutes at the end of a game. Minaya came on last week late as well. There's no point. To me, I'd like to be seeing Wishart's run and just run himself into the ground for 10, 15 minutes and then go off again and then come back in the second half. Aaron, do you agree with that type of assessment?
Look, I wouldn't mind seeing Wishy start in the 13. I mean, any run that we can get in and around and behind the ruck would be handy. We've had absolutely none of it for 3 weeks. So I definitely wouldn't mind it. I also think getting the best players on the field is what's important, and there's no doubt that Wishy, he's too good for a bench, but in this particular side we just use him as a bench player just because that's unfortunately where he's landed at the Storm. So definitely wouldn't mind seeing that. Minaya, I think, given a chance on the wing this week, hasn't played there on the wing with us this year, so I think he's got a chance to make an impact there, and they will call on him to take some big runs out of the backfield there. So that will be good, and that will give him a chance to show what he's got. The rest of the bench, I have no idea why you'd be playing Hetherington if you're giving him no minutes. Mate, our forwards are gassed anyway. They're not making any meters, and then we're not giving them a spell. It's just like run these blokes into the ground, tire them out, and they're doing fuck all. So it makes no sense that we're playing Hetherington and not playing him. And then, as you said, Mawali comes on. What's he meant to do? Like, what do you expect from the big fella? Like, heads are down, no one's running, no one's having a crack, and then you want Mawali to come in and change the momentum. It's just, I don't know, it's a big ask. Not, it's resistance. It's just you're putting up your hands just to, just to cop it, basically. So definitely, I agree. Let's make some changes, and maybe we still might. We've only seen the first team sheet now. Bellamy, everyone's saying where are the changes? You never know. There's still what 3 days till game day, and 2 team list changes. So maybe we'd still see some.
Yeah. That pisses me off. And I had to find a way to say it without getting too much. If we're going to make changes, make them now. Give these players the view. Give the community the view. Give your public who are expected to watch and turn up and that sort of stuff the view of, okay, we are making some changes. Let's ride that. Let's go. Let's get on board. Let's not do late changes. I'm not the biggest fan of late changes, to be honest.
Look, I can assure you that on Monday morning when they go to their review, they know who's playing that weekend.
Oh yes,
and I can guarantee that on Monday, every player who knows, maybe not by Monday, but definitely by Tuesday, if you're starting, you know. So as much as you say, let the community know, and I do understand that, I also think keeping your cards close to your chest and having a game plan is important. And if you can throw a few ducks and drakes out there and maybe get the opposition to think of different game plans, it can't hurt. In saying that, I definitely see your side of it, and I definitely understand the fans wanting change and asking for change, especially after the poor performances. So it's a hard one. It's
poor performances, but also that's what was told to the community. That's what was said in conferences. If changes are going to come. If you're not willing to put in, changes are coming. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people in our comments, and that's what we're saying is, or I'm saying is,
where
it's
are
not
they?
it's not come. Where are they?
I definitely see it.
And what this shows to me and the community is that it's Moses Leo's fault. A guy who's only played a handful of games.
Okay.
And he's the one that's been dropped, but everyone else is sitting there. You know what I mean? So, and then all the talk with Chan and the video and the media. I know full well that the media just picked that quick moment. Did they pick the moment before? There's all sorts of chatter and stuff and whispers that I've been given to me in my private messages and that Chan back-chatted well before that happened and had to go back at Bellamy. So there's, whether that's true or not, that's gospel, but that's conversation, right? But the media just picked a moment in 2026 of a coach berating a player at that particular piece and time. And so now he's become a bit of a scapegoat. So, and this is the point, right, is that the community want to know what's happening and why and what's going on with exactly like what's been said and why they have been saying that. I got a bit lost for words there, but
if there's massive changes, right? Say we get to the next team, the 1 hour before kickoff, and they've changed it up massively. Have a look at that extended bench. It's not really a whole lot of options for massive changes there that make a lot of sense. I mean, you could play Hugo Peel somewhere. He got a hat trick last week, but is that
a fullback?
Fucking hell, that's a bit of a prayer. Don't get me wrong, I got nothing against the kid, but what in attack is he going to offer that Sua's not offering anyway? Other options there is you can mix up the forward pack. Obviously, I think Cooper's going to go back to the middle, which great. I hope he gets 40 minutes through the middle. I hope he has 15 runs, and I hope he keeps dominating because he's a talent, and people are at least loving seeing his effort, even though we're not winning games. But at least we're seeing a kid who's putting his balls on the line and trying to have a crack. So that'll be good to see. But other than that, I don't think there's a lot of another smart options there to make massive changes, really. And unless they did put Wishy in at the 13th start, I don't think it'll happen, but I think that's probably the biggest move we could make.
Well, and that touches on, I just counted this is what I'm looking to the side here. I'm on our Facebook post trying to get all the comments, and I counted 7 out of 37 comments that have mentioned something about Liero. Now, I know that Jimmy he didn't call you out, but he kind of challenged a little bit of your opinion there on the podcast, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We've all got differing opinions. And I'm starting to more and more start to agree with the negativity around Liero, but I've said over the last few weeks, he's our best 13. He is. In my opinion, he's our best 13. At the moment, and it's glaringly, especially even on the weekend, the errors, the penalties, the lackluster effort, the complaining, the whinging is starting to wear quite thin on people's thought pattern. Aaron, how do we fix this? How do we get Liero back to being an Origin caliber camp player?
I wrote at the start of my notes for tonight, I just said coaches only have 2 or 3 big sprays a year, really, because they always say as soon as the coach starts berating, losing his shit, cracking a tantrum, if he keeps doing that every single week, you're not going to have any impact. So we've seen now Bellamy's had he's thrown rockets last week. It wasn't just angry, he's had a tantrum last week. So in the press conference the week before, he said maybe we should have just gone out and had beers rather than practice defense. Now that was a cheeky dig, and I genuinely believe that if it was me and I was Bellamy this week, I'd take the boys out. I'd say, all right, I've trained the shit out of you. I've flogged a dead horse. I've abused you. You must be feeling shit about it. So maybe this week, just let them play. They've done all this preseason. They know what they have to do to fix it. Just get the morale back around there. That's with everyone, not just Trent. Obviously Trent's had 3 penalties last weekend. He's pissed the community off, and that's what we don't want from Trent, especially because that's part of his history, So you've got to just throw it away. You can't dwell on it, because if these players do, they're going to make more errors. It's going to be on their brains. We need to find a way to free the mind, and the way to free the mind is to play good footy. So it's a catch-22. But if it was me, I'd be doing less is more this week.
Well said. Well said, Aaron, and thank you to the community. There's a couple of questions in here I think are probably better for us to get in there and reply back, like Christine Daly's talking about the 6 agains and wanting to know about ball speed and why with the same ball speed areas and stuff like that. That might be a better one for us to talk about in terms of texting and replying back. There's another one about the new rules about ruck speed. So I think that we might just get into the chat after this and the next day or so and just reply back to those guys. I'd like to think that we answered a lot of the similar questions or questions around that, and then those types of ones we'll get in there and talk about. Aaron, is there anything you want to add on to our TLT?
I don't think so. I think this week for me is about having fun. It's a game where Bellamy always likes going head to head against Ricky Stewart. Every game with the Raiders is a battle. Let's forget about the ladder positions, and as Harry said, we've got the answers. We just need to do it. So for me, I would try and take a load off, go back to kickball before we're in a away game in Canberra, go play some kickball, have some fun, rock into the game and let the boys do their thing, because once we break this bad run of footy, I think there's good footy in there for sure. I still can't sit here and see us as a bottom 4 team. That's absolutely bullshit. We aren't that side, and we all know that. We just need to stop the run. And last year, Penrith had 6 or 7 games at the start of the year where they were dog shit as well, and everyone was like, this can't be happening. And they managed to get themselves out of the rut. Or in 2012, we lost 5 games, and then we came back and we won the competition that year because, things clicked. And when they do and momentum goes your way, your good players start to find form, your players start doing their jobs, and those little wins build up into big wins, and those big wins build into confidence, and then confidence steamrolls opposition, and then suddenly you're the team up the top of the ladder and make another team scared. So one win at a time, and I know it's been a while, but we just got to get one on the board and then baby steps from there.
Well, let's go another way. The last couple of weeks we've been doing a bit of team stats and some statistics around our conversation of our team, and I've got some things for you. So we did a post. It was yesterday, I think it was yesterday. So do the stats lie? And there's a question from Nathan that I'm going to read out for us. And I think what Nathan's written, and shout out to him because that guy is an absolute star. He gets into every question. He gets in on every post. He talks a lot. I love it. Keep him coming, Nathan. But we put it out there. Do the stats lie, or are we judging 2 losses with very blind eyes? Or the question is, and this was something that I sort of thought, there's a select few content creators that got a decent audience that don't like and have mentioned that they don't like the Storm, and are they just being extra loud, and so therefore we're all getting around it, or well, not all of us, but we're starting to crack under the chatter that they've got. What I want to say is that we're first in set completions, we're first in line breaks, we're least errors in the competition, we're least handling errors in the comp. We also won the first 2 games very comfortably. Now, I'm not going to talk around that Para win. Para had a couple of good wins. They went and beat the Broncos, but they've just been put on the list for exceeding 50 points again. So I'm not sure that 50-point win that we had against Para is a true assessment in round 1, but we had a good win the week after that too. We all were thereabouts in the next 2 games, apart from, as you've said a few times, apart from 13 minutes and 12 minutes in both of those games, that 25 minutes combined of just terrible play that lost us those games. The stats that we've got don't scream to us as a 13th on the ladder. Aaron, do you want to just quickly touch on that at all, or question that, or is it something that we should be more positive about before I get Nathan's question up?
Look, I just think, stats don't ever tell the full story. They definitely paint a picture, though. And those stats show that a lot of the things we are doing right, or not we are doing right, but there's a lot of things that, we can be proud of, like holding the ball and I think tackles have been reasonably good as well. Our middle's tackling at 96, 97, 98%. So, as much as those boys aren't making meters, they're doing something right. So for me, the stats, reading them is it gives you a bit of false hope that maybe we can be better because there are these things that are going right. But on the other hand, how can we be leading those stats and still getting flogged by the team? So what are those stats? What's important? Or should we forget about stats altogether and start focusing on winning football? So personally, I'm not reading into the stats. I think that's just stupid. The stat that matters is we're 2-4, and that's the only stat that matters. And we've got to figure out why. And for me, it's pretty evident. It's our forwards that aren't making meters. They aren't winning contact. They aren't giving us a chance to play our brand of footy, which is front foot, downhill, over the advantage line, Harry setting the halves up. And if we're not doing that, it's simple. We're not winning games. So how do we make that happen? That's the only stat I give a shit about at the moment.
Nathan says, stats can be deceiving, as you've said. Having that many line breaks and tackle breaks, I'd love to know how many of them actually led to some tries. And how many were against the Eagles and Dragons, 2 really poor defensive teams. A team might only miss X amount of tackles, but if you were missing tackles up the other end but defending your line, then it's not that bad. If you're defending well... I'll just quickly touch on that. The Canterbury Bulldogs were the best defensive team the last 2 years, but have led the competition or been very, very close to the competition of missed tackles. So sometimes the missed tackle percentages don't align with whether your defense is good or not. If you are defending well until you are on your line and the missed tackles are leading to tries, then missed tackles are more of a problem. Also, it doesn't take into account ineffective tackles or poor reads where the player isn't even in range to make an attempt. For me, it's more so about attitude and effort areas. The fact we clocking off for periods and generally awful efforts for me is worse than having lots of bad stats. You can fix your errors, you can fix your defense and game plans, etc. It's much, much harder to fix attitude and to make players fight for the 1% effort areas than it is to have them hold the ball. Are we the worst team ever playing? Absolutely the worst? Hell no. But are we hitting anywhere near our standards? Not by a long shot. I just think that's a fantastic a fantastic comment, Aaron. And there are things that I can challenge and would like to, and I'll probably get into a bit of that now or even in the comments. But Aaron, how do you feel about listening to that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's spot on. I mean, Harry got asked the same questions today in his little media chat that he had today. Pretty much the same questions, all these about stats and about what we've done. And Harry just said the exact same thing. It's like the stats isn't the issue. The stats isn't the issue. It's attitude, and it's about getting our boys to play the way they should be playing and to do the things that make them good. Everyone at the Storm's got a simple role, and at the moment there's a lot of people not doing that simple role. And I think Nathan's nailed it, Who cares if you miss 4 tackles, but if you let in 2 tries out of that 4 tackles, everyone cares.
I don't think people are saying that the stats, and I don't think this post is around that the stats are wrong or lying. What I think this is saying is that we're not as bad as what people are saying, and that we are 2-4, and we've had 2 really poor games. But statistically, we're actually doing pretty well. We're thereabouts. It's just like you said, and what Nathan just articulated so well, is that there are things that we are doing that are just dumb. Poor errors. Very poor errors. The consistent 6 agains. The lack of effort and attack. The lack of effort on their attack in terms of our defense and our left edge and things like that. That has just been poor. And that's what we need to fix, and which is what you've sort of said a few times now around, I want 1% as I want effort. I want that to be fixed.
I think 14... again, just stats, but 14 penalties, or total, 7 6 agains and 7 penalties last week against the Warriors. That means we're just holding on for dear life. We're pushing our luck to try and slow the ruck because we're not winning contact. And that's just effort. You need to run in there at 100%. You need to stick and you need to make your tackle. And then you need to dominate that tackle. And then something we just heard before in the comments, what constitutes a 6 again and winning the ruck? Well, you can't win the ruck if you don't make a dominant tackle. If you go in there and you don't get the player on their back, they've got the right to get up quicker. The ref will call whether it's a dominant hit or not. It's like, if we're not winning the contact, don't try and slow the play down. And if you do, you're going to get penalised. And I mean, we found that out. Well, we found that out the last 3 weeks. We can try and cheat and try and do our old wrestle and try and, slow the play there. But this new speed of the game, if you do, and you march teams downfield, you get found out quickly. And then once you've gassed, the opportunity to build a margin fast it's a whole new world in this new game. So we've conceded points 20, 30, 40, 50 points a game because we're not doing the little thing, and the little thing is winning contact. And fix that part up, and I think we fix a lot of our problems.
Aaron, this leads into and I'm going to segue this into the next part, which is our how do we beat the Raiders on the weekend. Now, if we do play like what you just said, where we are trying to slow the speed of the ruck down and giving away 6 agains, etc., there's a thing called the razzle-dazzle, which is what the Raiders are loving at the moment, which is the razzle-dazzle run of the guys like Weeks, Strange, and Young. It's not as simple as let's not give 6 agains away and let's not give penalties away and let's not give them good field position. How do we stop that wicked run? Because if we thought we're going into 2 different games here where the Wars and even Penrith overpowered us with muscle, Raiders are going to try and overpower us with a bit of muscle and then just burn us on the sides. What do we do to stop that?
I'm going to go exact same answer as before. We've got to win contact, or at least equal contact. We can't be running in and then getting a quick play of the ball because they've got a good hooker there. He's crafty, and they've got speed to burn on the outside. I find it a bit strange they've given Tamale a rest this week. I thought he's been having a decent... I know.
He hasn't been great. He has not been great, but he hasn't been bad.
I mean, I get it. Tomoko's a good player, but I thought that was a bit stiff. He's been working hard, but yeah, they've got speed to burn. And as you said, the razzle dazzle that made out the back, he is a weapon. He is a weapon. So we've got our hands full this weekend, and I'm just banging on about the middle. Our middle for me has. Like, I know the edge is costing us points, and I get that, but I think for me it's about our middle. And we need to see Trent, we need to see Harry, we need to see Kingy, we need to see Steph, and then whoever we use on that bench, probably Clark, well, definitely Clark, and whoever else they use there, they need to make an impact. That's the only way we can win this game. If our forwards don't aim up, we are fucked. Simple as that.
We must figure out a way to not allow their middles to get more than 10 metres plus each run, because that's what those three guys froth off. Like, Weeks and Strange will absolutely froth off the forwards pushing 8, 10 plus metres. Starling gets in behind them. Brayley, when he comes on, and just gets really quick play of the balls, and then Weeks and Strange just boom, off they go, and they'll be going past you in the blink of an eye.
They play a similar game stop plan to what we want to play. You know, they really do want to punch in behind the ruck and get that quick play, and once they do, they're off, and that's what we want to play as well. So that ruck is going to be really important. And as you said, the 10-metre thing. I did our starting props, just King and Steph. I just did them for the last 3 weeks, and I averaged their last 3 weeks on how many runs they had, how many metres they had, and how many metres per set they had. And it's pretty alarming. King, in the last 3 weeks, had average 9 runs for 70 metres, which is 7.8 metres per run. And Steph had 9 runs for 78.3 metres for 8 metres per run. And if you go look at Tarpany, he's had 14 runs for 116. You look at someone like Ford, he's had 19 runs for 171. Taumalolo, 15 for 170. Haas, 15 for 158. These are the big boppers in the competition that are laying a platform for their halves to work with. And look at those teams. They look much better than us. So we need to... It's all about the middle.
And none of those teams, Aaron, have as good a spine as what we have. So, and our spine has just looked poor. And I think it's literally just because of what the platform is that you're saying, which I think fits nicely into what my next point is that we're going to talk about is if we get a beatdown against the Waz. Sorry, not against the Waz. If we got beat down against the Waz, how do we stop Papa, Taps, Young, Martin, Horsburgh? Man, it's a very good pack, and we got a beat down to a pack that I don't think is as good as this, and they looked elite last week.
I think you could almost put the Warriors pack in very high form this year. I mean, Jackson Ford's leading the Dally M. He's having 20 runs a game. So he's come on leaps and bounds this year. And Fish has been a monster as well. So I don't think the Raiders pack is doing what they were last year when they were considered probably the best pack in the comp, if not second best. So I don't think they're at that level this year. But if they have a game and they turn it on, and we don't, they will smash us. They will absolutely smash us in the middle. So it's a scary proposition, basically.
It is based off our recent form. Let's go into a bit of attack for us. So forwards have been given I think the forwards have been given the "we trust you" option this weekend, and it's kind of like one of those things of here's your last chance. I just want to stress, and I want to talk around. Let's just simplify the game. Let's literally just simplify the game. So let's just tell our forwards, all I want our forwards to do this week is just literally get the ball, run forward. Don't run sideways. Don't take a step left, right. Don't avoid anything. Run forward. get as far as you can, get tackled, get your ass off the ground, get a quick to allow the quick play of the ball, get your foot on the roll, and then let Harry play from that, and then just rinse and repeat. And then once you've got in contact and you've got that confidence, then start to look for a bit of second phase play. So 20, 30, 40 minutes in, second half. Now all you're doing, and the Raiders know, okay, every time Steph catches, he's just going to run his goddamn ass off at me. I need to stop this tackle first. Once they start thinking that and they've changed their mindset, then Stefano can turn around and put his back into it and look for second phase playoff offloads. But just literally just make it simple, yeah?
No, look, I completely agree. For me this week, you boys said it in the game review, and I think you said that there's a few comments on the page, which I've seen as well, which we are looking a little bit predictable. And that predictable is we're not getting to certain places on the field. Like usually, what would happen with the Storm is we would demand that we get to a certain point so we can get an attacking kick so we can start our game plan on the defensive end. We just seem to be getting to where we get to and then putting up a prayer. And that prayer then gets run back down the field. And then our average set distance starts dropping 40, 30 metres a set. And the opposition's team is running 40, 50 metres a set. And that, for the last 3 weeks, has just been the whole thing. Like, it's just been, we're under pressure and then we're making shit decisions. We, as you said, just play it simple, bust through the middle. Let's use the big guys to get the ball up the park, and then let's get a good kick and good line speed, good communication. Let's defend together and just chip away slowly at how we're going to win a game.
I don't mind losing this weekend, Aaron. I really don't. I do mind losing if we lose in the same ways that we've been losing the last few weeks, because we're not adapting, we're not changing, we're being predictable. Where we've got guys getting spots because they're just getting spots. I want us to lose this weekend. If so, we do. I actually think we can win this game. I legitimately think we can. But and now we've got the list to win freaking games of footy, right? It's just, we're just not doing it. But if we lose this weekend with that mindset and we continue to keep beating the dead horse, or define the word insanity, it's just repetitiveness, right? It's just repeatedly doing the same thing over and over again. And that's what insane means, or that's the definition of insanity. So I can't do that. And I love Bellamy and really do rate him as the GOAT, as the GOAT of coaches. So I'm going to put the trust in this weekend, on Friday night at 6:00 to fix that and go from that. But I will say one thing before I toss it back to you. But if we go another week where our forwards don't have any of them get over 100 metres, I'm going to lose my shit in the review show on the weekend. Like, I just am.
I was going to say, you said that last week and you did, so I believe you.
I'm going to lose it, man. Like, we've got two guys that are on well over $500,000 that are premier guys. One is an Origin player who just beat up two teams in this early start and then just disappeared. We've got Josh King that we just love. I love him. He's one of my favourite players just because he's just meat and potatoes, right? But it's just done next to nothing. Liero, if you give up errors this weekend, man, I'm going to lose my shit.
Yeah, definitely. He's one, like I know it's a bad week for me to pump up his tyres and then for him to come out and fucking play like that. But fuck, he had like fuck all runs. I don't even know how many it was. I didn't write it down.
Like 6 or 7, yeah.
It was fuck all. It's not
while you're talking.
It is not enough, Like, I know that we don't use him as a link man. Okay, so what do we use him at? I know he tackles well and he misses not a lot of tackles, but if that's your job, to make a few runs and get it, straighten the play up so that we can, then we can find gaps with our halves. He needs to get the ball in his hands more. I mean, I think they have to make 10 plus runs this week, and they have to make 100 plus meters. It's, as you said, if they don't, there has to be changes. It's simple. Your job this week is get the ball in your hand 10 times and run for 100 meters. If you don't do that, next week you can go play in the twos. It's like, that's your only job, all right? I don't give a shit about everything else. Oh, and make your tackles. But we know those guys are going to make their tackles because they're all bloody good
But do it
defenders.
anyways. Yep.
Mate, like I've got the numbers there. I just looked at Kings missed 7 tackles for the year, and Steph's tackling at 98%. So like you cannot bag their defense, but it's a two-sided game.
It's not the missed tackles through the middle that's an issue. It's the missed tackles on the edges that's the issue.
Absolutely,
It's the forwards
absolutely.
not running and getting us in position that allows our edges to be so vulnerable. That becomes a problem.
100% agree, and that's like there's two problems here, and one is on the defensive end, our edges are getting picked apart because the communication and the combinations and the want to play defense isn't there. And then in the middle, we get the ball and we just seem that our easiest option is to get it out the back to Sewer. Now, this is not me having a go at Sewer, but how many times can you throw the ball to Sewer and expect him to skip on the outside, do a bit of razzle-dazzle and break the line? Like you can't go to that every time because teams will just start planning for that. And I mean, the Broncos showed it best when we did it against the Broncos there in the second half. They just let us run to the sidelines and just monsters us over the sideline. I mean, even at the end when Warbrick got smashed by RTS on the weekend, they just show us to the line and they just know we're going to go there. And then when they go there, they bury us into touch, and then they get up and about, and it just gives them something to gloat about. So I don't think we can keep going there. I think we need to find different avenues to the try line. I think doing the same thing again and again becomes repetitive, and you know, we need another option. I don't know where it is, but we need it.
Aaron, is there anything else you want to touch on?
Nah, I'm good.
He's good? He's
I'm
good.
good.
Is he positive this weekend?
I am. I will tip us again. I don't think like this is a game where I think we should win. I think it's a game that if we turn it on, we will win. But the Warriors had a good weekend last week. They broke their little run of bad footy, and now they've got a spring in their step. And I also think whenever you play the Raiders, whatever the ladder position is, you know you're in for a hard game, because this one means a lot to both teams with the coaches and with the rivalry that we've got between each other. So I do think we'll win. I do hope we win, and I do hope that we can do a review show about a win, because it's no fun talking about the same thing every week, and then the next week the same thing happens again.
I love the Storm. I really do. I bleed purple. I've got toenails that are purple because my daughters did it for me, and I'm a girl dad and I don't have that choice. But I really do bleed the purple. I love the Storm. I do think we can go in and win this game. The Raiders are still vulnerable, as much as a funny thing to say about the reigning minor premiers, but they are vulnerable. They are still working out combinations and bits and pieces. But it's clear that you can see that Ricky Stewart is not being sticky Ricky like he likes to be. He is changing things and making moves, and so that alarms me. So we really do need to turn up and be on the ball. I think we can. I think we've got the list for it. I'm going to bet on it that we break the cycle here and we don't go to 2012 and lose 5 in a row, and we get it done. And that's the end of me. Aaron, is there nothing else?
If anything, just this week, like if they score more than 4 tries, like I mean, our defense hasn't been great, but we've conceded 9 tries one game, 8 tries the other, 10 tries one game, 8 tries the other game. It's shit. So let's concentrate on the defensive end again. I don't care if we win 10-6, 6-0. I don't care if it's 2-0. I'd prefer to see that this week than just leaking points. Even if we win 38-36, I think that'll still be concerning. Bellamy's going to be so shitty with that. We need to play defense.
Yes, I agree. All right, mate. Thank you very much. Welcome back. I know the community loves it. I know they're all waiting for you to come back. They missed you. We're rolling. Have a good rest of your week. Enjoy the last parts of school holidays, and let's go Storm on Friday, 6 p.m. kickoff.
Let's go.
See you guys.